Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at individual output distributions.
Okay.
So basically why some people achieve way more than others.
Yeah.
And we're looking at this paper called Not All Non-Normal Distributions Are Created Equal, a taxonomy and empirical investigation of individual output distributions.
So we're doing a lot of statistics today.
We are, but we're going to make it fun.
Okay.
And we're going to try and distill it down into something that you can use.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that really struck me about this was that individual output, across all sorts of different professions, it doesn't really follow that bell curve, the normal distribution.
Yeah, the classic bell curve.
We always hear about, right?
Right.
Instead, it's a lot more
What is it?
right-tailed.
Right-tailed.
So there are a lot more high achievers
Oh, interesting.
than you would expect.
So like way more than a normal distribution would suggest.
Exactly. And so this paper kind of creates this taxonomy.
Okay.
Closet, Shalizi, and Guinness. Yeah. And they propose all these different distributions that have like sort of a generative mechanism for how they happen.
Okay, so not just what the distribution looks like, but like why.
Yeah, why it looks that way.
Okay, got it.
And so, I know...
Like how those results are actually created.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I know that throwing a bunch of distributions at you might sound kind of intimidating, but trust me.
Little bit.
It's the generative mechanisms that are really interesting.
Yeah, so we can understand like the actual process that's leading to those outcomes.
Yeah, and so they did something called distribution pitting.
Okay.
Where they basically took 229 samples from different occupations and different performance measures.
Okay.
And they just tested all these different distributions against that data.
Okay.
And they were like, which one wins?
So almost like a competition between all these different statistical models.
Yeah, it's like a battle royale.
Okay. So which one emerged as the champion?
So the big winner for like 75% of the samples was exponential tail distributions.
Exponential.
So the exponential and the power law with an exponential cutoff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what is it about those distributions that make them stand out? Like what's the underlying story there?
So it all points to this thing called incremental differentiation.
Incremental differentiation.
So it basically means some people just have like higher output accumulation rates.
Output accumulation rates.
Yeah, it's kind of like compound interest.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Small advantages just kind of build up over time and lead to these huge differences.
Oh, interesting. So like those small consistent actions, the daily stuff, is more important than the big bursts.
Yeah, exactly. It's those steady incremental gains.
Okay.
Those small improvements that just like compound on top of each other.
So it's not like the aha moments.
Not as much. I mean, those do exist, right?
Yeah.
But it seems like, according to this research at least, like they're not the primary
driver that's shaping like these distributions.
So it's not all about talent then?
Well, I mean, think of it this way, right? Like talent or an initial advantage that might give you a head start.
Okay.
But it's really the consistent effort, the continuous learning and improvement that determines how far you go.
It's like you got to keep the momentum going.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you might have a powerful engine, right?
Yeah.
But you still need the fuel and the maintenance
to get where you're going.
Exactly.
So talent's not enough.
Not on its own.
You gotta keep working at it.
Yeah, you got to keep pushing it.
Interesting. So you're saying that like those overnight successes?
Yeah, those are definitely more captivating stories.
Right.
But it seems like they're not really the norm.
They're not what usually happens.
No, it's more about the consistent unseen effort.
Okay, so you mentioned that they looked at some other distributions and stuff too.
Yeah, so they looked at self-organized criticality, which is linked to that pure power law distribution. And that suggests success is driven by these like sudden, unpredictable bursts.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like earthquakes or avalanches.
Oh, so that is like the overnight successes.
Yeah, exactly. But the data didn't really support that as the main thing.
A main driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
They also looked at proportionate differentiation.
Okay.
Which goes with the lognormal distribution. And that one says initial success can kind of snowball.
Okay.
And lead to like a disproportionate advantage.
So like winner takes all kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But even that didn't perform as well.
As the exponential.
Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like they're really kind of pushing back against those simple stories.
Yeah, the narratives of like overnight triumphs or like just being a genius.
Right.
It's more complicated than that.
So we've talked about all this theory, but what does this actually mean for us? Like how can we use this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it's about looking for those consistent patterns of output, those output accumulation rates,
Right. So like a researcher who's consistently publishing good papers.
Yeah. Or an athlete who's steadily improving their metrics.
Okay.
Those are the signs that someone's actually capable of producing results.
Right. So we should be focusing on like their trajectory, not just where they are now.
Not just a snapshot.
Right. Like their GPA or something.
Right. You want to see that they're actually improving.
Right. So this changes how we think about talent.
Completely.
Right. It's not just finding the stars.
Yeah. It's about creating environments where everyone can succeed.
Right. So schools should be focusing on a student's ability to learn not just their test scores.
Exactly. And companies should be looking at problem-solving skills.
Initiative.
Yeah, not just what's on their resume.
So it's about potential.
Yeah, and creating systems that support everyone's growth.
Okay, so how do we allocate resources then if we're not just giving it to the top performers?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Right.
It seems like investing in everyone early on might be the best way to maximize output.
But that raises questions about fairness.
Yeah, for sure.
And who gets what?
Yeah, there's no easy answer.
Okay, so we've really challenged some of the traditional ideas about success.
We have.
It's not just about finding those naturally talented people.
It's about building systems that help everyone grow.
Right. So the takeaway is it's not about shortcuts.
No, it's about consistency and continuous improvement.
Small improvements over time.
And systems that support that for everyone.
So I guess the big question is how can we support our own growth and create environments that help others grow too?
Yeah, that's what we all need to think about.
Great. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
Yeah, I've learned a lot.
Me too. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.